Hello, everyone. I'm Charlie, and welcome back to another DraftKings DFS Slate breakdown. Champions League second legs here we got. That is, of course, Aston Villa PSG, with PSG leading 3-1 on aggregate, and Dortmund Barca, and Barca's leading 4-0 there. So, yeah, a couple of kind of semi one-sided games just in terms of the aggregate. If you remember, like the first legs of these games, like PSG and Barca, like crazy big favorites, are like what, minus 400 at least each. And there's still favorites here, but it should be a little bit more hotly contested just because Barcelona's already up so many, and both of like these dog teams are at home now, despite still being underdogs. In terms of projected lineups and set pieces for us, in this Dortmund team, I feel like it'd be Gross and Bensebaini. Ryerson didn't take a thing last league game with Gross back. He was splitting, I want to say, with Bensebaini in Champions League. I'm not 100% sure if they had any corners on this side that Ryerson would take, but he took some crossing free kicks for sure. But like I said, like Gross ended up taking over Ryerson in the league game, so I just assume that they'll keep that up. And then for Barcelona in this team, it'll probably be Rafinha and either Fermin Lopez or Pedri splitting. They kind of switched a little bit. It's been Fermin as of late, but they could definitely swap that around too. Like that wouldn't surprise me whatsoever. So Rafinha is kind of your safe set pieces. Yamal will also sometimes take a couple, but they're usually just a quick short one when he's like close and they just want to play quick. And then Aston Villa and PSG. In this team for Villa, it should be Rashford and Digne, maybe McGinn or Tielemans end up taking a couple of one-offs. And then the other guy to watch out for is Marco Asensio if he starts. He played 90 last league game when they kind of subbed all their other kind of regulars. So I feel like he's probably a little bit less likely to play. That's just one thing to watch out for. And then for PSG, it should be mostly Kvaratskhelia, although maybe Dembele will be like taking. Nuno Mendes and Hakimi have taken some in the past as well. There's not exactly a set routine there for them. Now, pricing Rafinha 10,600. This is a guy you just go in cash. He's just been so good in Champions League. Safe set pieces. Like I see no reason not to go there in cash. In GPP, you could maybe game script for if Barcelona score an early goal, they might just sub the regulars like Rafinha, like Yamal, like Lewandowski, just because the tie will essentially be over. It probably already is over. But so they might rest some of their key guys and something like at halftime in the 60th minute maybe. I kind of draw the comparison to that PSG Brest tie a couple of months ago where PSG won like 5-0 on aggregate and then they like hammered Brest the second leg too. It was like 3 or 4-0. They subbed off Dembele in like the 60th minute and he actually busted there, which was wild to see. Like they had it was like a 4 goal game and Dembele had no goal contributions, which is very rare. Which is why I say it's more of a GPP strategy. Since if you assume Barcelona score a couple here, you just think Rafinha would be involved. That's why I say like I just go in cash. But if you just wanted a reason to get off of that kind of chalky play in GPP, there you go. Then Dembele himself, 10K. This tie is a little bit closer in aggregate, so I think it's a little bit less likely of the sub. Like PSG's only up 2 goals. And Villa actually have like a chance in this game. Like PSG are favorites here, but not by a ton. If Villa score first, like Dembele probably goes 90. I want to say almost for sure. Like he's been going 90 every game other than that Brest game that I was just talking about. Yeah, they won 7-0. That's crazy. So yeah, there's so many good forwards here on this slate. The nice thing is that they have midfield eligibility now, which they did not have last leg for these teams. You're not forced to play like a 2, 3K mids just because there's no playable mids. Like you can do a little bit more creative builds just because you can play Dembele or Yamal or Rafinha in that midfield slot. Gives you a little bit more freedom. And then yeah, Lua, Yamal, like Dembele, I like by the way, like he's a good play. Same with Lua and Yamal. Like I don't think you can really make an argument against any of these guys. Like I said, Lewandowski's got maybe a bit more sub equity just because of he's more up there in age in this kind of already matchup that's pretty much over. However, he's got best goal scoring odds in the slate. So like I don't think he's a crazy play. 33 points last game. That's crazy. So yeah. I'd go Rafinha first though, and then maybe debate a little bit more between Dembele, Lua, Yamal. I'm probably going Dembele myself, but like I said, you can really go any combo of these four, be fine. And then they'll throw Kvaratskhelia in there too. Any one of these five, any couple of these five are all fantastic plays. Kvara was awesome first leg. 30 points for him with just one goal. He obviously had 18 points in floor, which is wild. He doesn't usually do that. Like this 13, 15 are kind of as good as it gets usually for him. But if he has like a bit more floor to his game now, like I don't know how he's not like a lock considering he's this much cheaper than your Dembele's and Lewandowski's. Like that 1200, that 2K difference can go a long way. So I like Kvaratskhelia a lot. Yeah, like these five guys, I think they're just absolutely elite. Kvara, Yamal, Lua, Dembele, Rafinha. If I could go like four of them, I would. I'll probably end up with two or three, just depending on how builds shake out. Doué, Barcola, it'll probably be Doué starting. Doué was awesome too in this first leg. I don't mind him as a play, but probably more of a GPP option, or if you just need the savings in cash, I could see getting to if you just can't afford to get up to Yamal or Kvaratskhelia. Then yeah, sure, go Doué. Like I don't have a ton of bad to say about him. The one worry here is that he's probably getting subbed. He's not the safest for minutes. You could argue he might have just peaked too in that first leg in Aston Villa. He might just get some kind of a little bit over-owned because of that super hot first leg. Now we see some of these. Oh, there's like Curiosity too. GPP, sure. Adeyemi, same thing. Then these Villa guys, I'm super tempted by them even in cash. That's Rashford and Asensio here. Both can play in midfield, which is nice. Like I said, I'm just not sure Asensio starts here. However, I'd be tempted by him even if he did. If he does, I mean. And then Rashford, who I think will play probably for sure. I'm super tempted by him. He was bad first, like awful as a matter of fact, but Villa are at home now. They were not that bad against PSG. They hung in there. I could definitely see Rashford scoring on the counterattack here. And like I said, at 5,400, this is so cheap. Like this is like some much needed value here. You can go him over like the McGinn you were kind of forced to play in the first leg. Like it's only a 2K difference there, and with a ton more upside. So I love Rashford here. I think it's a fantastic play. Morgan Rogers, kind of similar to Rashford. He'll be a lot less owned in GBP if you want to play that game. So I think he's perfectly viable there in cash. Like I said, I'd much rather have Rashford just because of the set pieces. Ollie Watkins 3,700. This will be a tempting play as well. Just even in cash, just a pure value play. He's been so out of form, but I think I said this like on last video. I will always take a flyer on a 3K like leading goal scorer for a club forward. Like this is so cheap. He didn't end up starting last game, but if he does play here, they have him in projected. Like if you need value, like I think this is by far the best value play on the slates. If you're not counting like these mid-range value guys as value, which I do. Midfielders, yeah, like I said, there's a lot of M/F MFers, I will call them. So you don't really need to look that deeply. I think it straight mid since ideally you're gonna play most of these guys that are M/F just because they're all just great options. In terms of pure mids, we already saw on the first leg, there's just not a ton of really good options. Like there is Vitinha. Did he get there last game? Yeah, he got there. He's kind of so solid. So I talked about not thinking it was sustainable, but he's really proving me wrong. So if you really like Vitinha, I'd say sure. I will not have many shares if we're being transparent here myself, though, just because I like these forward guys, these MFers. Pedri at 6K, I talked him up last time. Didn't end up taking because of Fermi, which was super wild to see. Makes me a little bit scared of him here, frankly. So I don't know how much Pedri I'll get to. Where is Fermin, by the way? Did I just completely miss him? Oh, he's expensive, 7,500. I might have a couple of fire builds with him in GPP, but I don't love that for that expensive. Yuri Tielemans, if there's no Rashford, I think could be super tempting. He will just have the Rashford sides of sets, and he's just very safe for minutes. Got there without taking a thing last. And look at that 9-4. And just what did he have to have that? Oh, he had the assist. That is why. That assist to who was it? Morgan Rogers, I think. I think it was Morgan Rogers. So that's how he got there. But he typically is solid. Like he didn't have any sets against Bruges, and he had 9-4. So yeah, Tielemans, if there's no Rashford, I'd be super tempted by. Past Gross too. I just didn't really want to mention just because he is, as his name is, not a great ceiling here. Just because, and honestly, where you kind of need ceiling because these games are gonna have a ton of goals. I imagine. I think the goal totals are both like sky high, which makes sense considering how high the first legs were. And you can definitely see these open up just because both of these home teams have to go for it. Just because they're down so many to have any chance, and that usually means they'll be vulnerable at the back. And you could definitely see some PSG and Barcelona kind of just hammering them. I wouldn't be surprised if either games end up a blowout just like the first leg, just because if PSG and Barcelona go up a couple early, like Aston Villa, Dortmund are just going to give up, which again does not bode well for a gross play if they end up being like that. But if you just want them purely for the set pieces, sure, just it's not what I'd likely do. Then I think there's these punt mids like Jacob Ramsey. I end up having him in my main team the first leg, which I did not anticipate when lineups came out, but it just had to be done because I want to get up to your Dembeles, your Cavaras, your Rafinha. I think those were my two forwards and utility slots. And I'm happy that I don't feel like there's as much of a need here because we've got Rashford and Tielemans and Asensio for a little bit more. But saying that, I will still have a share of Jacob Ramsey in GBP just for being a cheap attacker. Same with your John McGinn, who was actually in my core after lineups came out, just because he was 3K. He definitely did his job, 7 points for 3K solid, and I don't see why he can't do that again. So I don't mind a McGinn play if you need that savings over a Rashford or an Asensio. Then defenders, Hakimi is expensive again. I didn't end up getting to him last slate with these teams just because I just couldn't afford him. I had to go to Nuno Mendes, who was slightly cheaper, who really paid off for me. I just don't see him doing that again. I feel like I got my luck with him. But with that in mind, like I don't really feel like Hakimi's a 1,400 better player than Nuno Mendes. Like look at their averages are not that different. Hakimi just feels overpriced to me. If I had the salary, I will play him, but I'm not going to stress myself too much to get to an 8K Hakimi when I'd rather have your forwards who can drop 40 points here. Like Hakimi's not dropping more than like a 25, I'd say. Like I think best case scenario, he maybe gets like a goal and an assist. Like this RB Salzburg game, he had two goal contributions, 30 points. That is like the best he can possibly do in my eyes. And he just has not done that regularly. He's usually good for more than 15, which at 8K, I think is just not enough here. Yeah, Nuno Mendes, I like if you can't afford Hakimi. But like I said, I feel like I don't know that goal and assist from last game sustainable. And then I think you're probably looking at more value plays. Like I wouldn't go for a Koundé here on a slate like this. Benzabaini, if you want to play the set piece game, sure. Reassure there's no Gross. Even with Gross, like he was not awful the first leg, 5 points, which is not really what you're looking for. But like I said, it's not terrible. Digne, who I probably will build my most of my teams around. PSG are away now, so maybe Digne's got more of a chance to get forward a tiny bit more. Like he had 3.5 points, which isn't great, but for 3,600, like that's not awful. He's been priced down a decent amount too. He's 4,300 last game. And if there's no Asensio, he should have some set pieces. So I'm tempted by a Digne. Svensson too, I get behind. If he starts over Ben Sebaini, I love that just because he's a lot cheaper and probably would do the same things. So I hope we get that kind of favorable lineup. What's Alvaro Garcia projected? No, it's cash. If Garcia started, I'd be tempted by that just as a dirt cheap right back. And then I think you're kind of looking at like the CD punts. Kubarsi was kind of who you wanted in this spot. Last game, 15 points, got that assist, got that clean sheet. That is wild to see. He's had more points that one game than I think the rest of these games combined. So, but you can always see that from a center back off of just getting a goal contribution off of a set piece. Just takes one lucky corner kick for like D Saucy to head it in. Suddenly he's paid off his salary and then some. He could be the highest goal scoring defender on the slate if he scores. So yeah, like I never mind a CD punt here. I like to play the favorites more just because favorites typically tend to have more set pieces, more opportunities to go up the field for corner kicks, and more likely to keep a clean sheet. So yeah, like a Kubarsi we talked about, like him, Beraldo was not bad. Yeah, 4.5 too, which is fine for his price too. Didn't even have a clean sheet there either. So yeah, I wouldn't stress too much about getting to your Hakimis or Nuno Mendez's. I'm fine with punting these guys. And like you said, I like Digne a lot too. Goalkeepers, as always, it is an utter crapshoot. Who was the highest scoring keeper? It must have been Chesney because he stayed clean. Yeah, it was Chesney for sure. It could do it. They could definitely do it again. Like I said, if one of these PSG or Barcelona teams go up early, definitely see one of like your Villas or Dortmunds throw in the towel, and they still should go for it. Just probably not with a ton of energy. Like you could see the goalkeepers making like 3 or 4 easy saves just from like Hail Mary shots from Villa and Dortmund, just because they're trying to do whatever they can. So even if so you should get some decent flow there. I mean. And then you can make the same argument for the punts. like they're just significantly worse than the teams that they're playing. Like they might just get a bunch of saves just for being bad, even if it's a must-win game for them by multiple goals. So yeah, play whoever fits the rest of your build. In terms of a core, like I said, in cash, you just gotta go Rafinha. I'm tempted to put a Rashford here, honestly. I'm gonna put Dinier, I think, for now, just because I like the savings there compared to your other defenders. And then as my other slot, I might put Rashford here. I think that's kind of your best uh value play. Like there's other cheaper guys, but at his price point, I think he's probably the most fair. I like all three of those options. I like guys I talked about. I liked, yeah, like these other like big four, Kvara, Lamal, Lewandowski, Dembele, like all of them still. McGinn we talked about. So yeah, there's definitely some different ways to go. You can definitely fit Hakimi in certain DVP builds as well. But yeah, guys, that'll be it. Good luck, and I'll see you for the next one. Peace.